I'm going to go over two things today. I'm going to do haptics and buttons in VR. If you're on mobile or in PC, those are super simple. But if you still want kind of a show and tell with UI interactions, you can comment below and I'll do a video on it. But right now, for the sake of trying, I'm showing you how to do VR so that you can see how simple it is, even for the hardest. Uh, what you think the hardest platform might be, right? Because VR has barrier to entry, especially when it comes to UI. I think that's something that's been trying to be figured out early on with the way UI is displayed, how it's interacting with the player. And so, what I found that been very beneficial to VR is push buttons that you can actually physically um, touch with your controller. This is not the best, in my opinion, but is a workable solution and is super cheap because it's already it's an asset. So I'll show you right now how it works. Okay. And if you're having troubles with connecting the link cable to your headset, let me know and let me know your struggles so we can do some. Make sure to show up on the live stream and I can go over some troubleshooting with you for making sure that the link works and that you can actually see it in the editor because feedback is really important. Okay, so I'm going to show you right away. Okay, so what you see, I have what we've done before is the Gorilla Tag. I haven't logged in, so all that stuff is not working. And eventually, once you set everything up, it won't work with in-app purchases. You have to load the whole game. But for now, this works. So I push it down, and then you also get a haptic at the end. Okay. And the reason why it's working like this, where you see the sphere going through, is because the poke interactor is more like a finger click and it's not very precise. Well, it is super precise. That's the problem. It's because we want it to interact with more than just a point. It's just a poke interactor. Okay. But that's what this is a good setup for monetization, right? Because in order for the player to be able to buy currency and things, they need buttons to push or click. And so instead of doing a raycast, which a lot of people do, I feel like that breaks their immersion. And so I'm showing you what I think is the best bang for your buck. Okay, this is free asset. Here's what I did. I set up an interactables layer, and so that way the Gorilla Tag rig doesn't collide with it. So excludes that, and the interactor can collide with it. And so in here in the Gorilla Tag rig, I added this poke interactor, and then that's what does the whole interaction stuff. And let me move my audio. So here you can see the layer mask to make sure it's only that, and the poke point, right? So the poke point is not how it's just right there. So I could move it to the edge, but then if the player rotates their hand, then you don't know which side that's on. So usually if you have a hand with fingers, you can put them at the end on the fingers and then players can know to like do that. And so, but the best solution would be to just not do poke and do a collider. So that way you can make it as big as you want and more forgiving. And so that's the setup. It's pretty straightforward. And then for the haptic, that is, I'm gonna make sure to find the YouTube video, and I'll link it below because whoever did the tutorial, kudos, really good. Basically, like, helped me create this haptic class. So this saves me time. Again, another return on investments. Instead of having to code this every single time I want an interactor, right? I can do this. And then we have this for the events. But most of the time, these events are in the interactable, like if you override them. But let's say you're doing your own collision, right? Like if I'm doing a on trigger enter and I want to do certain things on the haptic and on the things, you can add these listeners for a base interactable that might not have those events. But this is the main thing that I use often because it has all the things that I'm gonna write. So instead of rewriting it over and over, I can just assign it in here, the haptic class, and it'll have all those tools. And all I have to do is trigger the event on the controller, and we're done, right? So this is super simple, and I can write a bunch of these if I need to. I can do this with a gun, right? A gun in or a gun holder, right? If I have a gun holder, the gun can have its own haptic settings, and so that allows you to give you a lot of control, so you don't have to feel bad about having multiple haptics, um, and feeling overwhelmed of having it to type over and over, redundancy, right? So super useful. um, I'll link the YouTube link below, give credit to the developer that helped with this. So that is everything, and we're gonna next on the next video we're gonna go in-app purchases, subscriptions. I'm gonna just duplicate all these buttons and show you how to set up in-app purchases on Meta and how to connect it to PlayFab. And then if you guys want Steam, like again, I'm not doing Steam because I don't think it's as profitable for VR as Meta is. So I like to focus on Meta. But I have done it on Steam. I have done in-app purchases. I haven't done subscriptions on Steam because they don't. It's kind of in beta, and they don't really want you to do subscriptions. They feel like there's other options, like reoccurring transactions and whatnot. But if that's something that's appealing to you, log in in-app purchases with Steam. I can show how to do that with PlayFab because PlayFab has a plugin and it's a lot easier than Meta. That's why I like to do Meta because it requires a lot of more documentation and things that people are not seeing, that's not being shown. Okay, so next video is going to be huge, but this was crucial for that, right? Because if we don't have a way to interact with the player so that they can purchase in-game currency, uh, it doesn't happen, right? So this is the first step, and hopefully this shows you how easy it is to start, right? Once you start, you can just finish. So these two next videos are going to be crucial for making money on your games. If you like what you saw, please like the video. And if you want to help out, don't just subscribe, but actually invite other devs to see these videos and subscribe as well. I want to help anyone that I can with game development and helping them finish their game. Also, I have a school community that I set up for people that want to be serious about finishing their games and actually adding value to their games. So I have a school community, and the link is below in the description. Okay? We'll see you next video for in-app purchases and monetization.